Since the conflict isn't happening outside, the area between your ears is both the most sacred and the most perilous battlefield. Not at all. Here lies the conflict. The majority of individuals fail not because they lack strength or competence, but rather because they were ignorant of the reality. A mentality that is not under your control will eventually control you. Your anxieties will be rationalized. Your wounds will be adorned with personality through it. Embrace your trauma via habits and accept them for who they are. A superb shapeshifter your mind is. It turns into a prison guard if you don't take control of it. On the other hand, it can transform into your most trusted companion, weapon, safe haven, and means of freedom if you master its use with authority, precision, and presence. Because there is a single point from which all other outcomes, relationships, income, and contentment, stem within you. No one was born to govern you. You were destined to bear witness to the throne. Unfortunately, gold isn't the color of royalty. It is not crowned. There it is, hidden from view. Plus, it raises consciousness. That the world is excessively noisy is not the issue. You've allowed everyone else to speak into your head except yourself. Your thoughts, cultural myths, inherited shame, and social scripts all become someone else's long ago. An untrained mind is biased. It does more than that. It creates significance when none existed before. At the expense of your future, it safeguards illusions. In an effort to keep you from experiencing the unknown, it will undermine your stated desire. But that's all for now. Reason being, mastery of one's thoughts does not entail repressing them. It denotes in charge of it. Awakening to one's sovereign self involves shifting from a reactive to an architective state of being in one's existence. Cypheria is this holy confusion that occurs when the soul begins to reclaim territory from the unconscious. It hits you when you start to doubt the idea you've been reiterating for years. When you break the narrative that shaped you into a little, quiet, and acceptable person, you can feel it. As soon as your mind realizes it is no longer able to control you, it will begin to resist. Not a feeling of comfort, but a purifying euphoria. This is the insanity before to alignment. The anarchy preceding formation. The wailing preceding dominion. Your thoughts resist being controlled. It aspires to power. In a falsehood, it wishes to remain ensnared. Its goal is to prevent you from waking up and instead keep you thinking. But exposing a lie always breaks the illusion. You gain control back every time you deviate from the norm. Reclaiming your kingdom is as simple as choosing awareness over reactivity. You recognizing your own identity is the worst nightmare that can happen to your mind. Mentality is a powerful tool. Many individuals are also reducing oneself with it due to a lack of skill in handling it properly. You can't act vicariously while enjoying life to the fullest. You can't let uncertainty permeate your days and hope for good fortune. Your frame of mind is paramount. It opens the way to power, understanding, and tranquility. However, they failed to inform you of this. Positivity isn't a product of a powerful mind. It's self-control. Its beliefs are not always based on reality. It raises doubts. It observes. It reroutes with pinpoint accuracy. The reason being that an unbridled intellect can become a powerful tool for your wounds. However, when you learn to control your thoughts with awareness, you may shape your own metamorphosis. Master your thoughts, and you'll never again need inspiration. No validation is required. You'll control your own mind. Faith is more than simply holding a truth-seeking opinion. You must live by it as a law. Furthermore, the rules that your subconscious mind is still following manifest in your life. I was wondering who wrote those. Who estimated your value for you? Who persuaded you that one had to work for love and deserve rest? I thought you were instructed to live fully before asking for permission. The ones that are not believed in, they comprise ties. For as long as you let your thoughts be dictated by rules passed down through generations, the future you create will be a reflection of your past. With self-awareness rather than fury, you must topple the inner regime. A new room appears in your reality for every belief you upgrade. You gain more mental capacity to create for every falsehood you debunk. This revolution is holy. You must abandon a faith that prioritizes your safety over your independence. Truthfulness is not an emotion. The responsibility of seeing too. Now we will confront. More thinking will not bring you clarity. To find clarity, you must be brutally honest with yourself and ask questions like, is this my thought? Is this true? Is this helping me or holding me back? Many people mistakenly believe that their minds are complicated when, in fact, they're just cluttered. The only way to clear your mind of all the mental parasites that try to pass themselves off as you, but really limit you, is to clean it thoroughly. And what's left is truth. Truth is unchanging. Vision isn't just a picture in your head. It's the blueprint of your unwavering self. You can't construct what you can't see. When fear rules your mind, it tricks you into viewing the worst-case scenario as preparation, the past as prophecy, and staying loyal to survival even though your soul begs for expansion. Vision is the declaration that you're done living under what once protected you. I inherited the ceiling. The mind despises vision because it takes you beyond logic, comfort, and identity. A self without vision is merely a reflection of the world's expectations. It may operate and perform, but it never creates. You must rule your vision, or you will construct another person's dream and call it success. Purpose is like a compass. It doesn't have to be beautiful, but it must be true. Without knowing what your mind is anchored in, every distraction becomes a detour, and every rejection becomes a breakdown. No matter how bad you're feeling, your purpose isn't simply about getting things done. It's the driving force behind your willpower and a reminder that you're not here to simply survive. You're here to create, shake things up, and ultimately become whole. When you're guided by purpose, your mind stops drifting and starts driving. It reclaims your attention from the algorithm, the shame, and the noise, and returns it to the part of you that remembers. True discipline is a statement of self-identity. It's the soul's way of saying, I know who I am, and I'm willing to act like it even when it's hard. Discipline isn't about following rules, but about becoming the person you said you would be. An undirected mind reacts instead of responding, consumes instead of creating, and chooses convenience over growth, then wonders why nothing changes. No longer does it align with the future you've chosen. With each affirmation of the path, with each showing up despite resistance, you demonstrate to yourself, I am the one in charge. This proof stays. Discipline creates memory, and memory creates momentum. You stop questioning your capabilities. You recall what you've already accomplished. You recall the days you were afraid to do it, the nights you stayed even though it hurt, and the mornings you picked work over excuses. Discipline is not punishment, but rather a sacred loyalty to the truth within. If you want confidence, you have to earn it. If you want clarity, you have to move. If you want transformation, you have to do something about it. Your mind will give you every reason to stay still. Every scenario, every failure, every phantom version of the future where everything breaks. But if you take action, you will dismantle the tyranny of your mind, just like taking one unapologetic step forward. Nothing matters unless you do what it says. Belief is born out of action, not waiting for fear to go away. Take charge of your body and mind, and the mind will follow. When your body moves in harmony with your highest self, your thoughts rewire themselves to match. This is how you break free from the cycle of thoughts and start living. Gratitude is not a weakness, but a strength, a way to redirect your attention. Power. When you let scarcity rule your thoughts, everything becomes a threat. Everyone is a competitor, and every delay feels personal. But when you replace defense with ownership, your mindset shifts to gratitude. Being grateful doesn't mean ignoring pain. It means seeing it for what it is, a chance to grow, to shape yourself, and to be grateful for both the easy and the hard things in life. When you are unshakable, no one can weaponize your gratitude. Once you've given it blessings. When you make your scars sacred, no one can make fun of them. Being grateful makes your mind your ally, because it reminds you that you've never been weak, only without perspective. Adaptability isn't compromise, it's strategic transformation. It's what the strong use to stay strong when rules change, people change, and paths disappear. A rigid mind gives way to a ruled mind, which changes with precision and adapts because it is. You are not here to die on a hill built by your younger self's fear. Rather, you are here to evolve with vision. Adaptability is self-leadership in motion, grounded in purpose rather than ego. Your identity is not set in stone, but rather forged in fire. And fire necessitates movement, agility, and a mind that thinks, I am allowed to outgrow who I was without apology. Rather than weakening your identity, adaptability upgrades it. You don't rise the same. You rise wiser. You rise emptier of illusion. You rise closer to the core. Resilience isn't about ignoring pain. It's about refusing to let it define you. Strength that bends without shattering. Being resilient means knowing that your mind has bowed to your soul because life will hit you. The question isn't whether you will fall, but rather, who will you become when you rise? A mind controlled by fear breaks and begs to return, while a mind ruled by truth builds something stronger from the wreckage. Make it your identity. You don't need to pretend to be strong. You need to ground your strength in the memory of having faced worse, bleeding and building and believing. Resilience isn't about becoming harder. It's about becoming deeper. It's about bearing scars and continuing to choose love and vision and to rule your mind with conviction and not conditions. That's what separates the collapsers from the legends. Learning is the discipline of perseverance. A strong self studies its own reactions, watches its own thoughts, and tracks the subtle manipulations that try to put it off course. Not to judge, but to master. It doesn't need more answers, just deeper observation. It needs to watch itself like a king watches a kingdom, making sure no intruder crosses the border without being named and mastered. No one can rule their mind unless they study it. Questioned, every setback is an opportunity for growth. Every mistake is a warning. Every setback is a way to refocus your efforts. Learning is the way you improve your crown, your sword, and your ability to rise each day, not as a loser, but as a winner who already owns the battlefield. And now you remember, the world around you will keep changing, but that's okay. You've done the one thing that makes everything else insignificant. You've regained control. You've quit begging for clarity. You have become it. You are no longer just a performer. You are an embodiment of confidence. You no longer fear the chaos. You rule from within it. Lies still murmur, but they no longer command. Fear still rises, but it no longer dictates because now your mind does not own you. It is you who owns it. You are the author, the voice, and the sovereign ruler of the most powerful kingdom you will ever rule, your own mind. When you have control over your mind, nothing else can. Not shame, not culture, not history, not fear and failure. You walk taller than before. It's not that life has gotten easier. It's that your mind is transformed from enemy to servant, sentinel, and sword. You become unshakable, unbreakable, and unknowable because you rule over your own thoughts and actions. This changes everything. They told you the war was in the world, in politics, the economy, and betrayers, but the real battlefield has always been inside. Every day, you face the challenge of a mind that judges, doubts, and speaks before you even stand up. You never stop to ask whose voice is that. It's not yours, not the real you. It's not the voice that was born with you, wild, curious, sovereign, and unbreakable, that was buried beneath 1,000 others. The voice of the teacher who told you to sit down, the voice of your parent who couldn't love what they didn't comprehend, the voice of society that valued conformity, silence, and obedience as a measure of worth, the voice of religion, the media, and individuals who have experienced pain projecting it onto you. As a result, you find yourself living with a haunted mind, haunted by ghosts of failure, shame, and never being enough. You may think these thoughts are your own, but they are actually inherited fears that have been passed down through generations like curses. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will remain a mystery. Will shape your life, and you'll refer to it as fate. But that's not fate, it's programming. and you need to unlearn it. Because your true, eternal self isn't scared, confused, or small. The voice within you that tells you to run, hide, or stay quiet was planted, and you're feeding it. But you weren't meant to be a weed garden. You were meant to be wildfire, uncontrollable, unapologetic, and uncaged. The thoughts you hear aren't the problem. The belief itself is. Not every voice in your head is yours. You need to learn to distinguish between them quickly, because otherwise, you'll base your life choices on the wrong things. You'll get married to people who reflect your trauma rather than your truth. You'll settle for jobs that feed your ego, but not your soul. You'll settle for less and shrink, smiling as you do it, because that voice told you to be grateful for crumbs, but that voice was lying. Confrontation is the first step towards freedom. Your mindset is more than just a motivational poster, a weekend seminar, or an Instagram quote. It's your operating system. Unfortunately, the majority of people's systems are corrupted. They operate on scarcity, shame, the idea that love must come with sacrifice, that joy must be earned, and so on. But that's not mindset. That's mental slavery. Jung warned us, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. Why? Because if you face your own soul, you will face your own mental and emotional constraints. Journey, you also confront your deceit, your concessions, the masks you've worn for so long. You've lost sight of your true identity. Changing your perspective isn't about changing into someone else. It's about rediscovering your true self before the world dictated your identity. It's about removing the beliefs that were never rightfully yours. It's about destroying the scripts and writing your own story with your own blood and hands. That's the rebirth, and it hurts because the ego will make you listen to false voices. They're going to argue and ask, "Who do you believe you are?" They will say, "You've changed." I say, "Yes, you have." Because you finally decided to stop hosting parasites in your mind. You stopped being the echo of someone else's trauma. You stopped being the puppet of expectations that have nothing to do with your purpose. You stopped being available to the voice that profits off your fear. Belief. If mindset is the soil, then belief is the root. And the problem is, most of your beliefs were planted in you, not chosen by you. You didn't enter this situation with these preconceived notions. The world has taught you to be either too much or too little. You learned that. Someone told you to tame your genius, to be ashamed of your fire, and to apologize for being you. They told you to fit into a life that was never meant for your soul type. Belief is powerful because it creates evidence, not that it asks for it. Your beliefs shape your perspective, and you can find evidence to support whatever your beliefs tell you. If you believe you are unworthy, you will destroy any gift you touch. If you believe the world is against you, you will be able to make it happen. It's time to rewire the system, not with positive thinking, but with brutal honesty. With clarity. You cannot heal what you won't see. You cannot change what you won't name. Clarity is not comfort. It's confrontation. It's sitting with whatever is hurting you. If you believe you're broken, you'll only attract people who confirm that narrative. So it's not a question of what's true, but of what you believe and who taught you to believe it. If the answer is pain, then it's time to reboot the system. Lying in bed at night and telling yourself, "I'm not well, but I'm not broken. Even if I have my flaws, I am strong. I will not be swayed by falsehoods anymore, even though I have listened to them." To speak clearly, you must first muffle all background noise. That is, not the voice of cultural norms, nor the voice of those who would try to break you while claiming to love you, and certainly not the voice of fear. Sacrificed violence is clarity. It dispels delusions to make room for the truth. Furthermore, you cease pleading for approval once you are crystal clear. Finally, you cut ties with your decisions. Your explanations of boundaries have ceased. Peace is not something you owe the world. You come to understand. Prioritize your own needs. Vision. What you can't see, you can't construct. Not everyone is devoid of potential, though. They are blind. They see no way out of their enslavement. Due to this, they remain confined to their cages. Seeing themselves liked is impossible for them. Consequently, they actively seek up food scraps. A sense of leadership is foreign to them. So, If anything is loud enough, they will follow. You build your future on the foundation of your vision. That's real life. How often it occurs. What you believe in does not always materialize. Yearn for. You become what you want to be. Secretly fantasizing about a life doesn't get you anywhere. Quietly battling for what you want pays off. The one that requires self-control to become. A lack of self-discipline is an indication that you have stopped listening to those who would have you remain little. Rules don't mention how I feel about it. According to discipline, I made a decision, and decisions change lives. Patience builds steam. A person's identity is the key to breaking the cycle of behaved in the past. Get well is not only a notion. This is not a meditation app, nor is it a diary entry. That's motion. Trauma is stored in your body. Because of this, your spirit is pressuring you to leave the place, the connection, and the identity that no longer serves you. You can't get out of a jam by sinking. One way out is to act. Get moving regardless of how unsteady your knees are, how shaky your hands are, or how loud your inner voice is screaming. The lack of fear is not what makes someone courageous. In its existence, it embodies defiance. And the false voices start to die when you take action, speak up, make a decision, or simply refuse to sit quietly any longer. At that moment, the true voice, the one from long ago, returns, not the most strident, but the one that trembles the earth with its soft murmurs. Thank you. Thank you is not a sign of weakness. Soapy it isn't. The action is dynamic. When it is created amid suffering, gratitude becomes a weapon. The sound of the roar proclaims, despite the many attempts to bury me, I managed to find. There is something sacred in the dirt. It means you're not going to let bitterness define you. Many believe that being grateful is all about finding solace. Not all. Clarity is key. The power to accept things as they are and say, this didn't go how I want it, but it went how I need it. Heartbreak taught me to set limits. Concentration is key, and that setback highlighted that. I learned to talk because of that quiet. Approval of your suffering is not what gratitude is. As you ascend from it, you assert your power. Gratitude is like removing a knife from your own hand. End your self-inflicted wounds that transpired. When you realize you're stuck, you can finally move on from that chapter. Nah, you're not in a bind. Simply put, you're attached. The only way to break the cycle is to bless the lesson and let go of the pain. Out of the loop you go. An unbreakable person is you. You become unbeatable the moment you realize you don't need life to support your tremendous ambitions. The ability to adjust. The strongest and brightest don't necessarily make it to the end. Their adaptability is unparalleled. Even though the soul grows from change, the ego fights it. Regardless of every setback, every deviation, every treachery is an initiation. Life isn't out to get you. It's making an effort to mold you. Dismantle the inauthentic aspects of your personality. Consequently, reality can now breathe. Holding on will get you nowhere in this world. Trying to control things will get you nowhere. Force will not lead you to fulfillment. When you're in the zone, you'll discover it. Once you've let go of the old self and allowed it to die, you'll find it. Finding it requires a daring, not a desperate, shift. Stick with what works best for you. For part of you that is now extinct, quit being dependent on a persona you created out of fear. The ability to change one's identity on the go without sacrificing one's core values is the essence of adaptability. Movement with purpose, growth without treachery. That is what it is. Storms are impossible to outwit. That scared, timid part of you has left you. Staying strong. Stamina is different from toughness. This is not apathy. Acting as if everything is all right is not it. It's being true to yourself when everything else fades into the background, leaves it out. The ability to stay firm in the face of adversity and declare, I'm still here and I still want more. This is the essence of resilience, a form of spiritual rebellion. Choosing to love again after being betrayed, trying again after failing, and trusting one's intuition again after previously ignoring it are all examples of resilience. Do not think that evading danger will make you more resilient. Awake traveling through it is how you construct it. Instead of pleading for help or sitting about hoping for a miracle, you should strive to become the power that doesn't need anyone's blessing to stay alive. Resilience. The mind that believes it knows everything is dead. The soul that is hungry for truth is alive. Learning is not about being right. It's about being real, curious, open, teachable. Most people don't learn. They defend their limitations, their suffering, and the voices within them. They've fooled themselves into thinking they're true, but real learning is tearing them down. It's having the guts to admit, maybe I was wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe the reality I've been experiencing up until this point has been more about surviving than truly living freely. Learning isn't something you do in a classroom. It's more about navigating your emotions, finding your spirituality, and gaining experience. You discover your true identity when you embrace your true self-doubt, your true desires when you pursue them relentlessly until they consume you, and your true worth when you endure repeated denial until you can finally claim what you deserve without regret. Committing to learning means committing to becoming, not fixing, yourself. It means unfolding and integrating. Healing is more than just knowing. It is the embodiment of wisdom. All the quoting, meditating, retreating, and reading in the world won't help if you betray yourself when you get home. Knowledge is power, and integration is the key. You integrate when your actions align with your insights, and you integrate when you stop giving into acceptance. When the power of saying no outweighs the fear of rejection, you have integrated. Integrating is more than just setting boundaries. It's a way of life, a commitment, a sacred vow to never return to your survival self. You're not required to be flawless or have all the answers. What matters is that you're honest enough to follow your truth, no matter how terrifying it is, because that's where your strength lies. And lastly, awakening. You'll experience the day will come when you wake up and the noise will no longer be there. Not because the world is quieter, but because you're stronger. You stop mistaking every voice for your own. You stop giving access to thoughts that weren't rooted in your highest self. You stop bowing to ghosts. And in their place, you will hear a voice that spoke fire, vision, and truth instead of fear, shame, and the poison of those who failed to see your worth. Listen closely. Not every voice in your head is yours. And the moment you realize that you stop obeying, you start becoming, and the world will never be the same again. You, the real you, not the programmed, scared, or traded-in version of yourself, but the one that was forged in fire, the one that remembers why you came here, the one that doesn't merely survive the dark, but even builds light inside it.